She does not love you. She loves how you make her feel. You thought you were special, that your kindness, your loyalty, your sacrifices meant something. But the more you gave, the less you mattered. You became easy to reach, easy to please, easy to ignore. And in that moment, you stopped being a man in her eyes and became a tool. Schopenhauer did not hate women. He saw them clearly. He called them a trap laid by nature, a biological illusion designed to enslave men through beauty, desire, and emotional dependency. From the way she tilts her head to the softness in her voice, from the moment she touches your hand to the tears she cries, it's not manipulation, it's instinct. Nature does not care about your feelings, and once you see the pattern, it becomes impossible to unsee. The pedestal you put her on, it was never real. The love you believed was unconditional, it was transactional. And this does not make her evil. It makes her human. Just as men have the instinct to protect, provide, and pursue, women have the instinct to attract, secure, and survive. But when you ignore this brutal truth, you hand over your power. This is not about hate. It's about seeing clearly. It's about waking up. Because the man who remains blind to female nature will always suffer under the illusion of love. And this is the truth no one tells you. You see her across the room. Red lips, delicate features, soft, glowing skin. Your heart skips a beat. Your mind races. You think, she's the one. But that feeling, that intoxicating rush, it's not love, it's nature, it's instinct, it's biology hijacking your brain. Schopenhauer did not romanticize desire. He stripped it bare. To him, beauty was not a divine trait or a soulful connection. It was bait, carefully crafted by nature to pull you in, to trick you into service. The will to life, he wrote, uses the illusion of beauty to ensure its own continuation. In other words, that flawless skin, that hypnotic voice, that perfect curve of her smile. It's not for you. It's not her. It's nature, using her as a vessel to further its own agenda. That aching, desperate pull you feel when you see a beautiful woman. It's not sacred. It's not romantic. It's a trap. An ancient program written into your DNA, telling you to chase, to serve, to surrender, even if it costs you everything. Schopenhauer observes something deeply unsettling. What men call love is often just desire in disguise. You are not falling for who she is. You are falling for what she represents: youth, fertility, softness, validation. And she does not even need to try. Her smile feels personal, but it's generic. Her charm feels unique, but it's biological. It's not deception. It's design. Let me tell you about Ethan. Ethan was a good man, loyal, kind, emotionally available. He met a girl who seemed perfect. He opened doors for her, listened to her every word, sent good morning texts every day. And for a while, she seemed to glow in his presence. He thought he had found his soulmate, but slowly things shifted. She became distant, less responsive, less impressed. The more he gave, the less she valued him. Why? Because Ethan did not understand nature. He thought attraction was about being nice. But nature does not reward nice. It rewards strength, unpredictability, power. Ethan was playing a game, without knowing the rules. Modern men are raised on fantasies, Disney love stories, rom-coms, Instagram captions about soulmates. But Schopenhauer believed this was all a dangerous illusion. Love is a metaphysical deception, he wrote. It makes us believe we are choosing freely, when in truth, we are slaves to the species. You don't fall in love, you fall into programming, that magnetic pull toward her body, that sudden sense that you would die for her. That's not you choosing. That's the will to life acting through you, making you a servant to reproduction. And her beauty, her sweetness, they are tools, mechanisms of survival, not conscious manipulation, but unconscious evolution. Schopenhauer said, "A woman's charm is the mask of nature, a mask worn only long enough to ensnare a man. And once the illusion fades, reality hits hard. Here's the tragedy. Men today mistake attention for affection. They confuse desire for destiny. They think being chosen by a beautiful woman means they are valuable, but in truth, it only means they are useful to her needs, her insecurities, her survival, and the second you stop being useful, the charm vanishes. You see, beauty attracts, but beauty doesn't commit. It does not owe you loyalty. It does not guarantee depth. Schopenhauer saw this with brutal clarity. Men live in a dream. Women are part of that dream. But the dream is not real. If you think this is just old philosophy, think again. Every time you obsess over her beauty, every time you pedestal her for being different, every time you imagine a future based on your feelings, you fall into the trap Schopenhauer warned about. You stop being a sovereign man and become a means to an end. You work harder, dress better, earn more, all to win her attention. And she does not even need to ask. Nature does it for her. Her beauty speaks louder than words, and your instincts, blind, ancient, and powerful, obey without question. So, what do? You wake up. You detach your worth from her attention. You stop treating desire like destiny. Schopenhauer never said love was impossible. He said unexamined love was dangerous. When you understand what's behind your desire, you reclaim your power. You stop chasing illusions. You stop serving instinct. And you start seeing clearly. You can admire her beauty. You can respect her nature. But you must never worship the illusion, because once you do, you become the prey. So, why do men fall? Why do they kneel? Not just to beauty, but to the illusion behind it. The answer is not simple. It's not just biology. It's psychology, evolution, and centuries of romantic delusion, all pulling strings, until the man becomes the puppet. Let's break it down. From the moment you are born, the world starts programming you. Disney shows you the damsel. Hollywood gives her a halo. And every song, every fairy tale, every tragic romance tells you the same lie. If you love her enough, you will be enough. This is where the trap begins. Idealization. You don't see her. You see a fantasy wearing her face. Your brain fills in the blanks. She's kind, she's innocent, she's pure, she gets you. But that's not her reality. That's your projection. You took a woman and turned her into a goddess. And what do men do to goddesses? They worship, even when she does not deserve it. Psychologists call this projective idealization. It means you don't fall in love with who she is. You fall in love with what you need her to be. A soft place in a hard world. A cure for your loneliness. A fantasy to silence your chaos. But the moment you project a fantasy onto someone, you stop seeing them clearly. You ignore the red flags. You rationalize the manipulation. You forgive the coldness. Because if the goddess has flaws, the illusion breaks. And most men would rather bleed than wake up. But the psychological layer is not the whole story. There's something deeper, older, written into our DNA. Evolution designed men to be providers, to chase, to impress, to sacrifice. Why? Because in nature, access to women equals legacy. For most of human history, 80% of women reproduced, but only 40% of men did. That means over half of all men were biologically filtered out. So men evolved to compete, to signal, to serve. That's why today's man will bend his morals, work 60 hours a week, buy luxury items he can't afford, all to gain what his ancestors fought and died for, her attention. But here's the catch. That drive, once essential for survival, now enslaves him in a modern world where beauty is everywhere and meaning is rare. Now add to this biology the modern religion of romance. We no longer believe in gods, but we do believe in the one. We believe there's a perfect woman out there, someone who will heal us, complete us, love us unconditionally. But that belief, it's not noble, it's dangerous. Because when you believe she's the one, you stop protecting yourself. You forgive betrayal. You accept disrespect. You abandon yourself just to keep her close. And when she leaves or reveals her true nature, you don't just lose a partner, you lose your identity. That's not love, that's self-erasure, and it's happening to millions of men every day. Now let's talk about the third layer of the trap, culture. Modern media worships the feminine. Women are always the prize, the healer, the strong, independent ideal who needs no man, but always finds one, who sacrifices everything for her. Movies don't show her flaws, songs don't question her motives. Ads paint her as the gatekeeper to happiness. And what about men? If he does not get the girl, he's a loser. If he walks away, he's cold. If he questions female nature, he's bitter. This is how media rewires male desire, not toward strength, purpose, or brotherhood, but toward validation through female approval. It's not just manipulation, it's mass hypnosis. And most men are too deep inside the dream to even notice. Still think this is just theory? Let me show you how this trap played out in real history. Napoleon Bonaparte, a man who conquered half of Europe, was utterly enslaved by a woman named Josephine. Despite her countless affairs, despite her coldness, despite everything, Napoleon kept writing her love letters. He went to war with her name on his lips. He lost battles and his sanity, chasing her ghost. The man who broke kings was broken by a woman, not because she was evil, but because he projected power onto beauty. He forgot that even the most glorious rose has thorns. Let's be clear, women are not evil, they are not monsters. They are responding to nature just like you are. But the problem is this: when men don't understand this dance, when they misinterpret feminine behavior through the lens of fantasy, they destroy themselves trying to earn love that was never meant to be earned. They give and give and give until there's nothing left of them but a hollow man with a broken dream. So, how do you escape? You stop worshiping, you stop projecting, you kill the illusion before it kills you. You see her beauties but not as salvation. You hear her words but not as gospel. You accept her nature but don't build your life around it. When you do this, you break the spell. You reclaim your mind. You rebuild your instincts. You become a man with clarity in a world drowning in delusion. Schopenhauer once said, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone." And when it comes to desire, that solitude, that clarity, that brutal awareness might be the only thing that saves you. Arthur Schopenhauer did not believe in romantic love, at least not in the way you have been taught to. He did not write poems about soulmates. He did not fantasize about unconditional love. Instead, he tore off the mask and exposed the cold machinery behind the most intoxicating feeling in the world. In his words, love is the ultimate deception of the will. A man believes he's pursuing happiness, but he's merely a tool. A tool for what? For nature, for biology, for the survival of the species, not the happiness of the individual. Let's unpack this. The will. The master. You never see. At the center of Schopenhauer's philosophy is the concept of the will, an invisible, blind, and relentless force that drives all life. You don't choose your desires. You don't choose your attractions. You don't even choose your goals. You are compelled. The will lives beneath your thoughts, beneath your personality. It does not care about your dreams. It only cares about one thing: reproduction. And love, that beautiful, poetic, heart-wrenching experience, Schopenhauer called it the cunning trick of nature, a hallucination created to trap men and women into serving the will. You don't fall in love. You are pushed. You think you fell in love because of her personality, her laugh, her vibe. But Schopenhauer says no. You fell because the will saw potential genes. You fell because your subconscious calculated her body's ability to bear children, because her facial symmetry triggered ancient reproductive instincts, because her scent activated parts of your brain older than civilization itself. It was not romance. It was biology dressed as magic. And what makes it more brutal? The illusion feels real. It hijacks your thoughts. You write poetry, you make promises, you fight for her. But from the will's point of view, you are just a pawn executing code. Why she becomes the obsession. You ever notice how falling in love makes you irrational? How you can't stop thinking about her? How her voice, her approval, her absence dominate your mind? That's not weakness, that's design. The lover is never free, Schopenhauer wrote. He is driven, not by choice, but by command. You don't love her because she's special. You love her because nature needs you to. Because if men did not fall obsessively, species would not survive. So evolution created a drug, a psychological cocktail so potent it could override logic, ambition, even dignity. We call it love, but it's really nature's leash. Schopenhauer is infamous for calling women the weaker sex. Modern ears hear that and scream misogyny, but they miss the point. He was not mocking women. He was describing nature's division of power. Men are physically stronger. Women are biologically more valuable. They carry life. Because of this, nature made men expendable and aggressive. Hunters, fighters, builders, and it made women conservers, selective, defensive, cunning. This is not good or bad. It's not about fairness, it's about function. So, when Schopenhauer said, "Women exist in the service of the species," he meant they are not consciously evil. They are strategically designed. They charm, manipulate, and test, not because they choose to, but because it's what works. It's what filters out the weak. It's how nature ensures only the strongest, most resourceful males pass on their genes. So, when a woman pulls away, when she loses interest the moment you chase, when she uses her beauty to test your frame, that's not cruelty. That's evolution. Romantic attachment is dangerous. So, why did Schopenhauer warn men to avoid love altogether? Because he saw what it does to them. It blinds, it breaks, it consumes. Men sacrifice kingdoms for women who never asked. They abandon missions, betray friends, destroy themselves, all in the name of love. But here's the truth. A man is only truly free when he stands beyond the reach of desire, Schopenhauer said. And romantic desire, especially unchecked, idealized, projected desire, is the strongest chain of all. Because it does not feel like a chain, it feels like salvation, until it's too late. The noble lie. So here's the brutal truth. Love, as we know it, is not noble. It's not divine. It's not a reward for being a good person. It is a mechanism, a system, a program that uses emotion to enforce biology. And once you see it, once you understand that the butterflies, the obsession, the heartbreak are all features of the trap, you stop being a victim. You can still feel love. You can still be moved by beauty, but you will never again be enslaved by it. Most men live their entire lives worshiping a lie. They chase women hoping to find meaning. They offer themselves on the altar of romance, hoping to be chosen. But once you understand Schopenhauer, once you see love not as a blessing, but as a design, you don't hate women. You don't withdraw from life. You simply become free. You see her beauty, but not as truth. You feel your desire, but don't obey it. You understand the game, but choose your own path. That is the beginning of masculine clarity, of power, of peace. To marry is to have one's rights and double one's duties, Schopenhauer once said, with a smirk. Not because he hated love, but because he understood it. And now, so do you. You have been lied to, from movies, from songs, from stories passed down by men who did not know better. You were told that the greatest goal in life is to win her heart, to be chosen, to be loved, to be enough for her. But here's the truth. You were never supposed to chase her. You were supposed to become him, the man who does not beg, the man who does not break, the man who cannot be owned. Once you understand what Schopenhauer saw, that love is not divine, but strategic, the spell begins to fade. The flattery of her smile, the mystery of her silence, the pain of her distance, it all loses its power. Not because you become bitter, not because you stop feeling, but because you finally see the mechanism. You stop interpreting your emotions as commands and start seeing them as signals. You stop confusing attraction with truth. You stop believing that your worth is measured by her attention. You were the flame, not the moth. All your life, you were taught to orbit her, to win her, to impress her, to center your story around her. But what if she was never the center? What if you were? The masculine spirit, when undistracted, builds empires. It writes books, fights wars, shapes reality. But when it's hypnotized by beauty, it collapses, like Samson in the lap of Delilah, like great kings who burned down their kingdoms for a kiss. They were not weak men, they were just blind. Redirection is power. The most powerful men in history did not suppress their desire, they redirected it. Leonardo da Vinci never married, Nietzsche died alone. Schopenhauer walked through life untouched by romance's leash, so he could see the world with brutal clarity. This does not mean you reject love. It means you no longer need it. You begin to chase purpose instead of pleasure, to seek freedom over comfort, to desire respect more than validation. Because what does it matter if she chooses you? If you have not even chosen yourself? Every man has a fire inside him. Most let it go out, snuffed by rejection, heartbreak, or trying too hard to be enough for someone else. But the awakened man fans that fire. He uses solitude as fuel, discomfort as sharpening, disappointment as direction. He does not ask, "Why does not she love me?" He asks, "Why have I forgotten my mission?" Because once your mission is clear, everything else aligns. Women notice, people respect you, and more importantly, you respect yourself. Don't hate her for being what nature made her to be. She is instinct. She is selection. She is the test, not the prize. Your enemy is not her beauty. Your enemy is your blindness to it. Your belief that she owes you something for your goodness. She does not. Nature is not fair. It's strategic. And your freedom begins the moment you stop demanding fairness and start building power. You are not meant to be understood. You are meant to be feared. Schopenhauer saw it before most men ever dared to. The more a man is intelligent, the less he is understood by women. You were not born to be liked. You were born to be unshakable. A man who does not move because she blinked differently. A man who does not fall apart when she pulls away. A man who does not need to prove himself because he knows himself. That's the man who becomes untouchable. Not because he's cold, but because he's clear. Here's the part they don't tell you. She was never thinking about your feelings. She was watching your frame, your energy, your posture, your power. Because nature does not select for kindness, it selects for strength. If you become the man you were meant to be, you won't need to chase women. They will orbit you, the way stars orbit gravity. Because deep down, nature honors power. So remember, she was never the prize. She was the mirror, the test, the illusion. You are the prize, you, when you are rooted in truth. When your purpose leads, not your desire. Let them call you cold. Let them say you don't understand love. Let them mock your distance. But smile, because you know what they don't. That love is real, but not the way they think. That freedom is love's higher form. That truth is stronger than beauty. And once you see clearly, you never fall again. You rise,